So here in segment number 3 is going to be the post interview, the post conference interview that the Nolan Wells family did after they did their show with the young lady, where they talked about the night, what they experienced, and you're going to hear Al Sharpton speak, you're going to hear Ben Crump speak, and then you're going to hear the mom and the father speak. But I really want you guys to listen to it, because this is kind of the core of the show today. Of where you're going to see people start to ask for peace in the midst of where we continue to use division and race to make our plight. So here we go.
Addressed what was going on with the Nolan Wells investigation, and specifically talked about what was being said by the Black Caucus, and they wanted to get federal agents, they wanted to get the FBI involved in this investigation because they don't like the way it's being handled. They don't like the speed at which it's handled. They don't like the fact that certain things haven't been looked into, which I also find interesting because, as we've heard from both sides, differing opinions on the phone, apparently the phone is still in the possession of Nolan Wells' family. They said, and they released a statement via their attorney, that they're ready and willing to share the phone with law enforcement, but law enforcement hasn't looked into it. That may be one of the reasons we have this press conference and this conversation here. So I'm going to get straight into it. We're going to hear from Reverend Al Sharpton. We may hear from Ben Crump and the family at some point as well. Let's go ahead and see what they have to say.
Good morning. Let me say the case that we have been dealing with now for the last several weeks around Nolan Wells is indicative of many cases around the country that have raised serious questions with racial overtones.
Oh, man. Starting off at the bad point already. There we go, bringing up the race again. Guys, I hate to interrupt this, but this is just bad. We got to stop with this. We've heard multiple, an abundant amount of information and evidence from Nolan Wells' friends, the friends that were there. They clearly had nothing to do with this, all right? Other than maybe some possible potential civil liabilities that could come out. When it comes to Nolan being dead, it's clear that his friend had nothing to do with this. So whatever racial undertones that Reverend Al Sharpton is talking about, it's time to move on from that, in my opinion.
Attorney Crump and I are
starting off on that already.
I'm doing the eulogy for a young Black man in Madison, Wisconsin, homeless. And they say at a night, and there's the tape of him being shot, 3 cops surrounding him, shot and killed, 4 shots. And these cases building up in a climate of an administration in Washington that we cannot feel will objectively investigate. There was a time that we...
And as I mentioned earlier in the show, on the first interview with the parents, everybody now is continuing to bring up the politicians, the president, the Republican Party, the Democrat Party. None of that is going to find justice for Nolan Wells.
You could say if state authorities fail us, we can go to the Justice Department. Even under George Bush, we went to the Justice Department. We, at this point, have to hope that one, we can deal with civil courts, or secondly, that there's a balance of power with the Democrats taking the House in November, and maybe the Judiciary Committee under that can at least put a check and balance on cases that need to be investigated.
What is he talking about?
Right now, where we have 2 parents, lovely parents, I've gotten to know them, that really don't have an answer to the question. Is it a civil rights violation or not? And we do not know. How do you trust the words of people that say immediately there was no foul play when you haven't even investigated whether it was foul play?
I told you guys, that was a bad statement. And then this is the thing that is going moving forward to, I think, be a regret from the Jackson County Sheriff's Department. Because again, less than 24 hours, and they say several hours after Nolan Wells' body was found, they say, oh, investigators say that there was no signs of foul play, or they don't see that there's foul play. I wish I could get the exact quote here. I think that was a huge mistake on their part, and it's going to continue to come up because they made things seem rushed. How do you come to that conclusion and you just found his body? Bad.
How do you trust people that come back from something that happened and never really give you a straight story of what happened, including you have the keys to the car? So when you have more questions than answers, you have to have people that will drive the answers out, and that's what we do. And that's why I've been involved, and that's why we stay involved. And it gets worse and worse and worse. The parent of one of the boys threatening to sue us for asking the question.
No, that's not what's happening now. What's happening is what we addressed as soon as this press conference started, and that's you making it a race thing. And again, a lot of the lies that were being told were either being pushed or ignored by you. Guys, we even talked about the pool party post that Benjamin Crump posted, which I thought was the most ridiculous, idiotic thing I'd ever seen from an attorney in a case like this, to where he reposted an unproven photograph and said, oh, maybe maybe this happened, or maybe this was taken on July 4th, and Nolan Wells was actually with these people that night. It was bad. Come to find out, it was actually from June 27th. So yeah, there's a lot of room, I think, for them to sue. And this is just the beginning when it comes to lawsuits against Al Sharpton, against Ben Crump. I don't know if there's any lawsuits against the Wansley family. I don't see anything at this point. We'll have to wait and see.
Imagine that now.
Jeez.
Some of you, y'all call it, what do you feel about the parents? One of the boys say he's going to sue you and Ben Crump. Sue us for what? For saying what happened? So we've gone back that far. And that is why we're going to stand with these parents.
Doubling
because
down.
usually, you know, I come from Brooklyn, New York. I was born and raised there. I don't come from the South. But my mother used to bring me down south with my grandmother in Dothan, Alabama. And Congresswoman, my grandmother told me, you see that pen over there? I said, yes. She said, that's a pen of hogs and pigs. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, always know something. If you take a brick and you throw it in that pile, the hog that hollers is the hog you hit. There's too much hollering going on in Mississippi that we haven't hit something. I can't figure out which one we hit.
This
But we
guy.
hit something. Because now they're talking about lawsuits. They're threatening this a mother of a child, trying to get her job taken. You wouldn't be hollering if we wasn't hitting something.
I'm
And
gonna be honest. Christine Elmore, this man has nothing to offer. Please distance yourself from this man. It's disgusting to hear the way he is talking about this situation, how he's trying to politicize it. He already spent time. You guys heard him talking about Democrats getting in so they can maybe move things so these cases can be get out of here. Al Sharpton, please. I don't know why this man's involved. Listen, I've given Ben Crump his credit when it comes to him being able to get not notoriety, that's the wrong word, to get publicity surrounding a case, to get people involved in this case. Al Sharpton, this is just making things so much worse, I think, from this family and the optics when it comes to what's truly important in this case, which is finding out what happened to Nolan Wells. Because Al Sharpton, he's really not providing anything other than a narrative that, again, I think could cause someone to face some legal issues. This is so
we're
bad,
gonna
man.
stay
It's
on
hard to
that,
listen to.
and we're gonna stay on it all the way. In light of that, before attorney, and I call him the Attorney General of Black America, gives us the legal basis, and then we hear from the parents. Congresswoman who lived herself through dealing with the whole tragedy of her own son. That's how we met. On a plane. She was a flight attendant at the time. And she stopped me on the plane and said, Grandma, why are you dealing with my son's case? And we started a relationship. She ended up being elected right here in Georgia and reelected. They redrew her lines and she was reelected anyhow. The lines couldn't reduce the favor of the people. Congresswoman Lucy McBath.
All right. Hopefully Lucy is more
afternoon,
reasonable.
everyone.
Good
First, I want to
gosh.
say thank you to Reverend Al Sharpton, and also thank you to Attorney Crump for being the armor bearers for this family, the Nolan's family. It's a really, really sad occasion that we're here again. I was just saying to my staff on the way in, it's like this brings back so many vivid memories for me and my own family, having lost Jordan to unnecessary gun violence in November 2012, Black Friday, simply because he was Black and playing loud music in his car. And so here we are again today, here for the loss of another Black young man in our community. And we find ourselves asking the same questions. How did it happen? Why did it happen? And this family stands here demanding answers. This family deserves answers. I myself sought the same justice for my son Jordan that they're seeking for theirs, and they deserve answers.
Oh, what happened to her son?
And they deserve justice. Justice that should not be denied this family, or should ever be denied to any of our children or lost loved ones. As a member of the Congressional Black Caucus, I'm the second vice chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. We are demanding a full federal investigation. Cash Patel, we're demanding a full federal investigation as to what has actually happened to Nolan Wells. We want to make sure that every stone is unturned
Can they demand that? I mean,
because his life
better
matters.
ask.
All of our children's and our families' lives matter. And we must fight back. We must stand up and we must demand accountability for this family's loss. We cannot turn a blind eye to what continues to happen again and again and again. That's the reason why I ran for Congress, to make sure that we continue to put a
And do y'all hear her? I can respect her passion. I can respect her rhetoric. I can respect everything she's saying because she's doing something that I always speak of. She became part of the system that failed her so that she can protect others who are being failed by the system that failed her. Not saying I'm the smartest guy in the world, but I always tell people, if you want to fix a system, you have to become part of it. It's the only way to make it better. You can't keep taking old bolts and putting it on new bolts and thinking that it's going to hold the same. Like, she lost her son in 2012 from what she feel was due to race, and she joined a system to make it better for others. It's the only way, because us that care are the only people who are willing to even want to change it. So,
face on what's happening to our families and our communities every single day. We must say Nolan's name. Say his name. Lift his name. And as the national
We're going to talk about everything that's going on in the community.
You have the ability to be able to lift this story and not let it die. We see over and over again these kinds of tragedies in our communities that continue to happen.
All right. When we start to have the community conversation, listen, a lot of y'all know where I want to go with this. I'm not going to do it right now out of respect for Nolan Wells. But if we want to talk about what happens in the community, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say, if you look at it percentage-wise, the cases of what's happening and what happened to Nolan Wells here, even if you take the worst case scenario, what happened, the percentage of that happening in the community versus maybe some type of other crime, which I won't mention right now, happening in the community, it seems like that's the bigger issue. You guys are smart. You can put the pieces together on what I'm talking about. I don't know why we're focusing on this as the big community thing that we need to focus on, because even in Mississippi, this isn't something that happens that often. But okay.
They make it to CNN.
We'll make it about
that. They make it to MSN now. They make it to our local news for maybe 30 days, if that. And then the stories are gone. And the carnage is left with the families and the communities that have lost someone that they love. So I thank the National Black Journalists. Thank you for lifting this family story. Do not let it die. Continue to say his name. Continue to tell his story, because they deserve justice, and it matters. It mattered for me. It mattered for Trayvon. It mattered for Eric Brown. It matters for all of our loved ones that we have lost.
As Attorney Crump comes, let me say, as Congresswoman McBath has said, the caucus has asked the federal government to look into it. For those of us,
oh no, she said they demanded
of the present administration. That is why January becomes important. That we have a judiciary committee that can also monitor when investigation happens now.
They're pushing politics behind Nolan Wells' case. They're pushing politics. They're pushing politics. Just like they used George Floyd to get Biden into the office, they're pushing politics and erasing justice. I know some people are going to miss this because, again, normally everybody's in their emotions. Everybody's trying to be right. They're pushing politics, not justice.
Now, it does not happen. So it won't end there. They may come out with any announcement they want in the next month or so. We have a big march on August 28th in Washington we must deal with voting rights. So we have the right.
They're talking about voting rights, guys. Look at what this is becoming. I understand that everybody's don't like everybody's unpopular opinion. But man, if I was a betting man, I'll be wealthy, super wealthy, because this is becoming something totally different, guys. I would highly encourage you guys to go watch a wonderful show called Same Source, Different Roots, and listen to those lawyers that are protecting the boys, because there sounds like case has already been closed shut, and now we're just pushing and grifting on more and more information so that we can now make this a politics thing. Even again, when you guys were watching this on the rewatch and you listen to the parents' interview, that lady brought up President Trump multiple times. I want to apologize to the Wells family for y'all don't understand this game that they have placed you in. Nolan Wells would now be what the next Democratic person runs off of. And there would be no justice behind it.
People in, so we can check and balance. I want to say to people in Mississippi, whatever
this is why Al Sharpton's here.
Once we have a fair and balanced government, your investigation will be investigated. It will not end with what they say in Mississippi. Attorney General of Black America, Benjamin.
Good grief,
so much, Mentor. Reverend Al, thank you for helping not only lead the effort to get to the truth, but keeping this family in your prayers as you have done so many more families.
I don't know what Al Sharpton is helping.
Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Eric Hertz, Attorney Lisa Park, Attorney Amaya Smith. We have the honor of representing the family of Nolan Wells. Obviously, you all have come to know his parents, Christine and Elmore Wansley.
Yeah, prayers go out to them, man.
This is hard. I heard Congresswoman McBath, who lost her son Jordan almost 12 years ago, and it's still raw and emotional when you hear her talk about the loss of a child. I mean,
I haven't heard that story. I'll have to look it
he's
up.
not coming back. And that is the story. Everything else is just, hyperbole, is distraction. The story is what happened to Nolan Wells. Somebody knows something. Somebody saw something. I'm thankful to Reverend Al Sharpton and Mr. Tyler Perry and Terrell Owens and Byron Allen putting up these rewards. I understand. And others have now put up rewards.
And for those who don't follow all content, they continue to leave Colin Kaepernick's name out now.
And that's good because that means we all have the same objective.
And if y'all are wondering what happened, Miss McBath's son, her son was killed in a stand your ground shooting. Wow. And when he was 17. And it looks like the man who shot and killed her son is actually in prison. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. That's sad.
That's sad, but that's justice. That man's doing life for something that he did what was wrong.
Truth about what happened to Nolan Wells. And it is urgent. It is urgent because each day that goes by, you worry, will we ever get to the truth? And so that's why we want to thank CBC for calling on the federal authorities and anybody else who has resources to help this family get to the truth of what happened to their son. I know I was talking to Christian Clark, and she said, no, let's make sure that all taxpayers' money that goes to support federal resources apply to our children too. I mean, nobody should say, oh, it doesn't matter that much because it's a black child. No, it matters. All of our children matter. And so we are going to continue every day to say his name, Attorney Hertz, Attorney Park, Attorney Smith, trying to work with the local district attorney to give them what they need to do a thorough, fair, full, impartial investigation. That's what we're asking for. Everything else is just a distraction because
there's a lot of distractions, that's for sure.
Nolan's birthday is next Wednesday, August 9th.
I'm going to play that back for those who are watching. I want y'all, because Rain talked about the boys being scripted. If you're watching this on the rewatch or you're currently watching this live, watch how they make eye contact to shift the environment. Please pay attention.
Fair, full, impartial investigation. That's what we're asking for. Everything else is just a distraction because
there's a lot of distractions, that's for sure.
Did y'all just see that look? And then he shifts to an emotion.
Nolan's birthday is next Wednesday, August 19th.
Oh man, that's all.
It's going to be extremely difficult for his mother, his father, his family, because this August 19th will be like no other that they've ever had for the last 19 years.
Oh, that's so sad, man.
I mean,
dang,
it's a milestone when your child gets to be 18 years old. You try to breathe a little easier every now. You say, man, we almost got them that they at the cusp of being an adult, cusp of manhood.
All right, man, you got to chill. You're starting to make me emotional, guys. As a parent, I had this conversation just the other day. This was such a good point by Ben Crump. I mean, they made it all the way. They made it to the finish line technically with their son. They did an excellent job.
And I want to shout out Class E. I don't know if you will ever see any of this content, but one thing Class E can do is he can tell you what he doesn't like about you, but he can also tell you what he does like about you. And I think that's a very strong attribute that he has. And I think that's what people need to be able to do more of. Ben Crump is not popular, right? But he does still call out the things that Ben Crump do well. And even when Ben Crump came on the back end of Al Sharpton and tried to recover the team because Al Sharpton is pushing politics and Ben Crump is trying to push justice. They're not going in the same direction. And that's why, as Class E said, I think Al Sharpton should buy out of the rest of this.
Raising this kid. I mean, top tier. People love him. Nobody has a bad thing to say about him. Athlete, good student, impacting the community, helping out with a lot in the community and beyond. And he's made it to the finish line, and that he dies in this way. So sad. It gets me super emotional. Ben is so right on that. I cannot imagine what they're going through. Continue to pray for them. Goodness, man.
And
Oof.
you heard how
He needs to chill.
Elmo was working so hard, him and Nolan, his football career. I mean, he had a good start, but this was really going to be his year. I mean, so much hope, so much promise.
Yeah.
And then July 4th came, and 4th of July will never be the same to Christine, and Elmore. And on the 19th, next Wednesday, his family, we're all asking for prayer for Nolan. I know there's going to be a prayer visual in Ocean Springs. I know Reverend Al is going to work to make sure we're all praying all across the nation. But yeah, let's pray. Can we pray together in unity to say, let's get to the truth of what happened to Nolan Wells?
Yeah.
Can we do that, America? Can we at least come together in unity on his birthday? Everybody who claimed to ever be a friend of his, can we come together in unity and pray for the truth and try to have love in our hearts for this family, for this.
That's tough. That's tough for somebody who ostracized and put a target on the people who were surrounding and close to Nolan at this time. It's tough for you to say, can we come together and have unity now? I think the damage has been done. The damage has been done. Everybody's lawyered up. We saw the narrative that was pushed by this man, Ben Crump, by Al Sharpton. And I mean, it's nice if you want to put out a statement and say, listen, you know, we may have handled things a little bit rashly. He won't do that. And maybe we should have done this and went about this a certain way. But now we're ready to move forward and work together on this. He's saying work together. It's too late, man. It's too late. You should have said that 30 plus days ago when this first went down, instead of saying something ain't right. Al Sharpton saying, I'm not saying it's a race thing, but I'm not saying it isn't a race thing. Yeah, I think it's a little too late for that now.
Broken-hearted mother and father, his sisters and brothers. Can we try to give them grace and give them love and pray for their humanity, for their son who was lost on 4th of July and is never coming back? Is that so much to ask? Let's have a national day of prayer on August 19th, next Wednesday, for Nolan Wells.
And I'm going to stop it there. I would highly encourage everyone, if possible, to be available for that visual. They're going to do a candlelight visual on August the 19th, which is going to be next Wednesday, to just show support for Nolan Wells.